Hello, I'm Maxwell, and today I want to talk about desires. I want to talk about the appropriate ways to combat desires and the actual steps needed to go about combating them. To just get started I think every man has experienced a moment in their lives where they are engulfed by desires, lust, rage, competition, the feeling to relapse and go back into bad habits and addictions. I remember when my life was ran on desires. Every day I would feel a desire, mostly for pleasure. I'd play video games all day and watch porn and do just a crazy amount of intaking content and pleasures, and I would get these desires to the point that it was overwhelming. And when I got in self-improvement, I realized the appropriate thing was to get rid of these desires and replace them with good habits. But what I want to talk about today is the mentality that you need to go about when it comes with dealing with desires. There's two things: the priestly ideal and the heroic. If you're like me, you were raised Christian and you understand that when we were taught about desires and those feelings, it came up as in cutting it off, suppressing your desires. Don't feel that. Don't do that. Be a good boy. Sit down. Stay still. Don't listen to those desires. And maybe that can be a good thing. You can be stoic and you can sit there and you can feel the desire in your life and feel why it's there. Figure out why it is calling out towards you. And then the second is the heroic, the man who takes his desires and takes action upon them, not in a quick spasm of relief or a instinctual kind of truly going about doing that desire in a harmful, mean way, but instead using the energy the desires bring in his life towards work. And that brings me to how I believe we should live with our desires. Just like our emotions, we should not just cut ourselves off and suppress it, digging it deeper and deeper into our soul until one day it explodes and we do something rational or radical, excuse me. But instead we use those energies elsewhere to get work done and at the same time fulfill them in a healthy manner. So if you have desires for lust, if you're a young man and you have just filled to the brim with testosterone, all you can think about is women and relieving yourself. So something you can do when relieving that desire, but not in a quick spasm of relief, is you could go to the gym. You could use that extra energy elsewhere. Oh, you want to get women? So let's think about a way you could get women from that desire, and not just in a cheap moment of relief, but you think, all right, if I use that energy towards the gym, I gain a better physique and I get more women. Or I use that sexual energy and I point it towards my business. And then when my finances get better, oh shit, I get more women. You're relieving it and also sending that energy elsewhere so it doesn't just build up and you become a weak man and you have to relieve it. So that's very important, to feel your desires and send them elsewhere, because we are filled with dark desires, things that I can't even talk about on YouTube. You know what it is. There's a reason long ago our ancestors were like Vikings or crazy people, ravaging, pillaging, doing unimaginable things. They needed to have that energy to survive. And we're still just like our ancestors, where we have these deeper, darker desires. But it's important to never suppress your desires. The mediocre man suppresses his emotions, his desires, his wants, and he just pokes at life. The superior man feels everything and takes action. So when you have the will to power, you want to destroy your competition, you want to steal women from other men, you want to become financially free, you want the best physique in the world, you have those dark desires, you must act upon them in a healthy manner. Because imagine your mom was in a room. There was the first man, the one that suppresses everything, and he's neurotic, he's scared, he has all these dark energies inside of him, and at any moment he could burst and do something crazy. Or would you rather have the man that is conscious, that is fulfilling because he takes action on what his body and heart calls for in a healthy manner? The first man, hell, I wouldn't want him near my mother. Those type of men shoot up schools and do radical, crazy things because they do not control their emotions and desires appropriately. So really, the big thing I have for you is to not just let things build up. Don't go with the standard belief of let's cut it off, but instead try to find a way where you can fuel that energy elsewhere, but use that energy in a way that you can relieve yourself and also kind of fulfill the desire in a healthy, appropriate way. The other ones, because I still believe stoicism when it comes to desires is important, but the idea is if you sit there and meditate, like for example, if you're horny, it's never gonna go away. And it is important that you don't need to take action on desires. You get a desire to do something, you never need to actually do it. I'm just been giving you the example of if you want to relieve it. But it's a good practice just to sit there, meditate, and feel the desire, like understand why it's there, why it's creeping up in your life. And it will eventually slowly fade, but it will still just be there. So it's good to understand why you get your desires, why they come into your life, and what you can replace them with. I know when I was dealing with a lot of bad habits, I just needed to go out and take a walk, free my mind, change scenarios, or start doing things that uses the spare energy or fulfills the desire. I've been so frustrated and angry. You know what I've been doing? Instead of just ripping heads off, I've been hitting the bag at the gym for 30 minutes. Just relieving myself because I have all that anger and testosterone, so I'm not an asshole, but instead I go hit the bag. So that's what I really want to leave you with, is to understand to never suppress your emotions, to understand that you have deep, dark desires in your heart that can be fuel for your progress in different avenues of life. That's why the killers are on the top of the world, because they understand their emotions, their desires. I've talked to very successful men, and they're animals. They're almost like assholes slash almost like psychopaths. They just think in a different way where they have these deeper, darker desires, but they fulfill them in the way that they can get their business done or have a good physique. It's magnificent. So I'm Maxwell. I hope to teach young men find purpose in life. I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.